Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarium Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 103. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Mondays with Mello, and today we're talking about the longevity game. And when I talk about the longevity game, I'm talking about plenty of things. So let's kind of delve into this. Now, if you guys don't know by now, I've been writing poetry for a little over 20 years on and off. And now that I'm a published author, and it's just cool, to know that I've, written a lot of pretty good books. Um, Honestly, it's not that glamorous to me. um, and, when people meet me, it's like, oh my goodness, you're an author. And then, after a while, you realize like not many people meet authors. Like, how often does that really happen? And one thing I can say is that a lot of people don't fully understand how much work it truly is just to write one book alone. And I talk about that in plenty of blogs of mine and podcasts and things of that nature. Which brings me to my next point. People get more excited at my accomplishments than I do myself. Maybe because I don't feel accomplished yet in any way. And I don't feel the need to celebrate every single accomplishment. I finish projects on a daily basis, and do I honestly celebrate all of them? Well, I celebrate none of them, and it's for many, many, many reasons. See, celebrating for me constantly causes complacency and comfort, and that's just something I don't want to happen to me. I've seen people accomplish great things and they get all happy and excited, and it's like, cool, great. You're doing well for yourself. You've accomplished something major. But then they get complacent and they get comfortable and they start to think like they don't have to, continually do work or continually strive for something else and figure out, what's the next goal or what's next to do. And at this juncture, as you're listening to this podcast, I have published 36 books to date. So whenever I publish a new book, there's really no excitement for me. And it's not to say that it wasn't important for me to write that book, or it wasn't important for me to, accomplish that feat of, being, published and all that stuff. It's more of I have a long way to go, and I am focused on the longevity aspect of it, of getting to the 60 books. And when I get to the 60, then it's, well, do I write another 15, or do I write another 20, or do I go do the other projects that I've been wanting to do for so many years that I've kind of put off because I need to be focused on certain things? So for me, the excitement will be when millions of people are reading my books and being impacted by my writing. See, that's when I'm going to celebrate a little bit. That's when it's like, wow, cool, great. People are buying my books. People are reading them. I'm, being talked about a little bit for what I write. And I'm going down my own path and creating, my own lane, things of that nature. It's more of like when people are contacting me on social media or emailing me how my stories have inspired them to go into the world and make it a better place. See, that's when it's more fulfilling to me. It's not like, oh, I published like I just published a book recently, and it's like, okay, cool. Publishing another book in a few weeks. So, for me, it's like, okay. So that's part of why I really don't celebrate all of those things. I don't celebrate, all of these podcasts that I've been able to record and share with you guys with my author journey, And when I, like I said, when I publish a book, I'm already thinking of the next project that I need to be working on. Like right now, as you're listening to this podcast, I have the rest of this year, as far as books that I'm publishing, already done. I have to edit one more book, and I'm publishing that in December. So I'm publishing 12 books this year. As you're listening to this, 4 have been published, and the other 8 are done. I'm already writing books for next year already. I'm already writing my 3rd book for next year. I'm publishing another 12 next year. It sounds crazy, but like I said, this is longevity for me. This is longevity and legacy for me, right? So for me, there's this, you know, next book, next blog, next podcast, next YouTube video, next audiobook I need to record. So for me, this is a never-ending pursuit of putting out content that impacts people in some way, shape, or form. It's about being consistent. It's about being out there and saying, okay, this is, what I do, and this is my purpose, and this is my reason. And there's this relentless mindset that no one is going to outwork me. Even when I take days off, I know the next person isn't outworking me. I'm staying in my own lane. I look at other people, like just on social media, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the case is, and people have 2, 3 books, and it's like, that's great. That's a wonderful thing. Their books are longer than mine, but for me, most likely, some of these authors will maybe reach 5 or 6 books in their lifetime. And that's just the reality of it. And a lot of authors, they want to go, hire an agent and, go through the publishing, companies, things like that. And that's fine. That's your own journey. That's your own lane. People are going to write sci-fis and thrillers, things like that. And those are going to be 250 plus pages. So I get it. That's fine. It's a long manuscript and that's a lot to do. For me, I write about social issues. I can't imagine writing a 250-page book on social issues, on a social issue. It's just, that's to me that's overwriting, and I can't do that. I try not to overwrite a book. Now, will I miss certain things to talk about in a book? Yeah, I will, but for me, I want to focus on certain messages, and I want to get a reader to focus on certain things. I don't want to divert the reader off of what the book is truly about. So that's part of why a lot of chapters just don't make it to my book, even if I brainstorm a session and outline it. Sometimes that chapter ends up in another chapter, which can, and it correlates and it makes sense. So yeah, I can plan out 18 chapters, but 4 of them can correlate into those other chapters, and it'll turn into a 14 chapter book or a 15 chapter book, and it's basically not overwriting it. But anyway, for me, about outworking me, the thing is that I don't feel like anyone really can put out more content than me as far as the books go. They can put out as much content as they want on social media, that's fine. But I've always felt like social media is not going to sell you books. That's just not reality. Like, if you think about it, how many people are going on social media to look for an author and look for a book? Social media is entertainment. But anyway, and it's engaging, and, you can learn from people and you can hear people's stories. That's another thing. That's another purpose and reason for social media too. But for me, I don't care about how many people follow me on social media. Like, that's just not my thing. I'm not focused on getting to 1,000 followers or 5,000. Like, and that is what people focus on social media. And out of 5,000 people that are following you on your social media page, you may get 100 that engage with you consistently. So why focus on 5,000 when you can have a consistent 100? It's like, do you want 100 pennies or do you want 4 quarters to make $1? You tell me, right? So I'm fine. Like, if I never get 1 million followers, I'll care if 1 million people read my books. Yeah, that I care about. The majority of people, they want to buy your books and read it, not necessarily follow you on social media. That's the other part of it too. So in some ways, I'm never going to be the guy that's going to celebrate all of these milestones when I hit a certain amount of followers on social media. It's not my thing. The funny thing about all of this is like I'm only like 6 years into this. So I'm kind of like getting started in a way, but then in other ways I'm like, yeah, I might retire in 2 years. So I'm not sure. But for the time being, I'm focused on the moment and I'm focusing on my narrative and my journey. And I go at this daily. It's like a second full time job for me, and it's one that I enjoy. And I will always continually say there's no such thing as overnight success. And for me, longevity is years from now, a lot of my books will still have impact on, you know, the industry and writing and all that. And I always tell people like on social media, like write what you feel in your heart. Don't worry about what other people are thinking. Don't worry about what other people are saying because everyone has their own journey. And there's one thing I don't do, and is I don't consult with anyone when I'm like in the middle of writing a book. That is a no-no for me. So what I want to tell you guys is just, if you want to create a longevity game, um, just focus on building your brand and doing it how you see fit and doing it in a way that works for you, not what's conducive to what other people are doing. I don't focus on what everyone else is doing because their journey is their journey and yours is yours and mine is mine. So with that said, that's my podcast for today. I thank you guys for listening. As always, be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.